Pastor Jordan here. We are continuing on our sermon series called Greater Faith. Today I want to talk about the topic of blind spots. The other day I brought my kids to go karting. They're ages 14 and 11. They've never driven a motor vehicle before, but they put on the helmets and without any safety briefing of what to do and what not to do, they got in the go-karts and away they went. And they did great. Actually, as they were going, just whipping around, pedal to the metal around here, I just thought they were doing amazing driving, except when there was a vehicle behind them that wanted to pass, when the go-karts was trying to get past them but couldn't because they had no idea who was on their left or the right or who was behind them. They didn't realize that they had people in their blind spot. And you know, go-kart, you can't have many accidents, but I remember when I was driving on a major highway once, almost had a major accident because I didn't check my blind spot. And the same is true in life. There are accidents we can have and things that we can really hurt ourselves and others because we don't recognize those blind spots in our life, those sinful issues that really can cause harm to ourselves and others. And so the psalmist speaks about this in Psalm 19, verses 12 to 14. This is what he says. But who can discern their own errors? Forgive my hidden faults. Keep your servant also from willful sins. May they not rule over me. Then I will be blameless, innocent of great transgressions. May these words of my mouth and this meditation of my heart be pleasing in your sight, Lord, my rock and my redeemer. He says this, who can discern the errors of their own way? Their own sins. Sometimes we have sin issues in our own life and we don't recognize it. That's why it's so important that we get into the Word of God. This is what the psalmist stresses, is how great the Word of God is, how it corrects our ways, how it teaches us. But sometimes it's not just the Word of God that teaches us. Sometimes it's the conviction of our own heart. Sometimes we don't even remember a verse that's telling us not to do some sort of sin. But our heart convicts us and it tells us that we shouldn't do this. Then also sometimes God sends those around us to speak into our life. You know, remember one time being in a ministry opportunity in ministry school, and there's one girl, and I called her a valley girl. And to me, that wasn't a really a negative word or just a name. It just meant that she was overreacting. But I can remember those that were over me saying to me, you need to apologize. And I thought, I don't need to apologize. I didn't mean anything by it. And I remember them sitting me down and saying, if you hurt someone, you need to apologize. And I remember learning a really amazing lesson that day, is that we are sometimes so unaware of how we affect those around us. Sometimes we say things with our mouth that we think it's not a big deal, but it hurts those around us. And I learned a lesson that day to apologize. But I also learned that not everyone has someone come to sit them down and speak into their life. And when we do, we need to really take that into account. Sometimes people say something to us and we brush it aside. We don't really take it into our life and learn from those around us. And so the psalmist here is speaking about how great the Word of God is. He says this in verse 8. He says, the precepts of the Lord are right, giving joy to the heart. The commands of the Lord are radiant, giving light to the eyes. The fear of the Lord is pure, enduring forever. The decrees of the Lord are firm, and all of them are righteous. And so each of us have blind spots. The issue is when we are pointed out, when people speak them into our life, is what are we going to do? Do we deal with them? I've had many opportunities where people have spoken into my life and really encouraged me to get better at certain things. Not all of them have been sin issues. Some of them have been showing up on time for things. Being present when I said I'll be present. Not over-promising something, is under-promising and then over-delivering. But each of us have blind spots, and we need to ask the Lord to reveal them. And so this is what the psalmist said here once again. He said, who can discern their own errors? Forgive my hidden faults. Is the first thing we do is we ask the Lord to reveal our hidden faults. We ask Him to show us the errors of our way. Ask Him to reveal those areas that we might be blind to, that we might not think are such a big deal. It's amazing to me, some people that have tremendous anger issues, when you come up and you talk to them about having anger issues, they don't think they have an anger issue. They're blind to that issue. And so we need to really take into account when people speak into our life. The other thing is when the Word of God speaks to us. The psalmist here is reflecting on the Word of God. And that's why he's saying, is reveal those hidden spots to me. Correct those areas where I have willful sin, where I know that I'm being tempted in this area. Keep me from that temptation. Each of us have areas where we know we're tempted. I've spoken in the past where I know the areas of lust can be a temptation for me. So I keep all movies away from me. Any movies that I know might have an issue, any passwords that my wife doesn't have, because I don't want to be led astray into temptation. If you know what your weak spot is, ask the Lord to keep you from that area. And the last area that the psalmist writes about is the meditations of our heart and the words of our mouth. The words that we speak are so powerful, and yet we need to guard them. And sometimes they flow so freely from us. We don't even think before we speak. And the psalmist here is saying is that, Lord, keep my mouth from speaking words that would displease you. And the meditation of my heart, God, keep my heart pure. And so I don't know what temptation you might be dealing with. You might not think you have any areas of weakness. But like the psalmist said, we all have areas and we all have blind spots in our life. Ask the Lord today to reveal those blind spots to you so that you don't hurt those around you and you don't hurt yourself. Those areas of temptation that you know you struggle with, ask the Lord to keep you from going to them. And ask Him to use your mouth to be a blessing to those around you, to keep your heart pure. God bless you.